Hi everybody. So today I'm going to spend some time talking about gargoyle geckos, how best to house them, what to feed them, and the easiest ways to take care of them. So we'll start out with the most basic thing, which is their enclosure. And this enclosure definitely needs to be taller rather than wide. So what I use for this purpose is an 18 by 18 by 24. It's an Exoterra. Easy opening in the front, so they're nice and easy to clean, and definitely kind of suits all the needs of any arboreal or semi-arboreal lizard species. So, on top of that, we have an Exoterra hood, and this is for lighting purposes. They don't need any kind of heat lamps or anything that way, basking lamps. They do just fine at room temperature. But what I use is daylight bulbs. So that just helps to promote a good day-night cycle, and they're just 110 watts with UVB rather, and they come from Exoterra as well. There's 2 bulbs in there. So usually that's on for between 8 and 10 hours a day, and again, just to kind of add some vitamin D and provide a good day-night cycle for this little guy. So on top of that is temperature gauge and hydrometer. This is very important when it comes to gargoyle geckos. They definitely like a little bit more humid environment. About 50% is where you should be at kind of throughout the day. This guy's just been misted, so it's going to jump up between 80 and 100%, and he's quite happy with that. So. The way you can achieve that is a few different ways. There's lots of kind of commercial foggers and things like that will work on timers and give you the desired humidity. I've opted to just go the more basic way, which is a basic spray bottle like this. Once in the morning, once before you turn off the lights, a little misting, and that will bring humidity right up where you need it. The other thing that I've used to achieve this is waterfall. So this actually helps to keep the humidity right around 50%. The biggest thing that you need to remember if you choose to install a waterfall is just basically to clean out the water about once a week, week and a half, and that's just to make sure that the water doesn't get stagnant and skunky, and they're definitely going to be obviously drinking from it rather. So decor inside the enclosure is fairly simple actually, even though it looks pretty complex. Just some basic silk plants. They do spend a lot of time kind of up high in their enclosure, so a few little hiding spots up there are going to be what you need to keep them kind of comfortable and feeling safe inside. And you can see him just kind of scooting back behind some leaves. There we go. So people kind of neglect the lower portion of the tank when it comes to any of the Rhacodactylus, gargoyles. Well, it used to be crested geckos, they've changed now. But they do actually spend a fair amount of time on the ground, so giving them some ground cover is always preferable over kind of the easier methods, which would just be paper towel or something like that on the ground. Although you could do that, you're going to end up with, in my opinion, a gecko that's a little more shy and doesn't feel as comfortable in his enclosure. So coming down to eat and all those sort of things, you know, it's nice for them to have some hiding spots. So the way that I've done that is just obviously with a big old fake tree in the middle here, and there's lots of hides kind of under that and around it, so he can feel nice and safe as he's coming down to eat. I also use some mosses. I use sphagnum moss and a forest moss. And these kind of serve 2 purposes, 3 I suppose. They look good in the tank, so they're kind of visually pleasing. They help to add the humidity. They definitely hold moisture quite well, and they actually give them a little bit of camouflage and cover as they're kind of slinking around in the night. So that about covers the tank portion. So we'll get a little bit into food here. You have tons and tons of different options when it comes to gargoyle geckos. Basically anything that you could feed to a crested gecko or a chihuahua will be easily applied to a gargoyle. So I feed my guy no live food. so no crickets or any kind of worms or anything like that. So what I've chosen is Repashy. Obviously, high quality crested gecko diet. And the reason why I choose this over something like Clark's or Pangea, any of the others, is just the protein content. So if you're not feeding crickets, you would be best to kind of supplement the protein. And the best way to do that is with a complete crested gecko diet. And Repashy has the highest protein content, so it helps with growth and muscle building and all that kind of stuff that's good for them. So that's what I've chosen. That's not to say that Clark's or Pangea aren't good. I've certainly raised geckos on them and never really had any issues. But like I said, I've chosen not to feed this guy crickets, which you can do if you don't want to feed live. For me, he's pretty small and his enclosure is pretty complicated. A lot of places for crickets to hide, and truthfully it would just be a little bit of a pain to try to pull them out every 3 weeks if he's not catching them, because he's not overly interested in any live food. So Repashy is the way to go for me in this situation. So the feedings are done about every other day. You can usually feed them 3 times a week, 4 times a week, and they're happy. I choose every other day. You can never really tell how much they're eating, so it's good to kind of just fill the bowl up and let them go. That would be last night's feeding, and you can see he'll probably work on that a little bit tonight as well. And then tomorrow there'll be a new food in there for tomorrow night. So if you were choosing to feed both a crested gecko diet and crickets, you would be most likely crickets once or twice a week, somewhere between 5 and 10 crickets, and you're best off to be feeding crickets that are no larger than the space between your gecko's eyes. That applies to cresteds, gargoyles, and most other semi-arboreal species. That's about what they can handle and what they'd be going after in the wild. So just to avoid any problems, you're best to kind of stick with that size. So, as we keep moving down, we'll talk a little bit about substrate. You have a lot of options with this as well. Coconut husk, all kinds of jungle earths and soils. What I find best and easiest cleanup is just jungle earth. And this is a type of cypress bark, big enough that it's not going to be a risk of impaction if these clumsy guys decide that they're going to swallow it, or try to swallow it because it won't fit. Really easy to clean, resist bacteria and mold, and all the things you're kind of looking for in a good substrate. So 1 inch to 1.5 inches is usually what I put down. And again, you can achieve this with just using something as basic as paper towel. I definitely choose not to use paper towel for the reasons that I stated before, and I find this is really just as easy. It maybe takes a couple more minutes. So cleaning of this enclosure is going to be about once every 2 weeks at the most, and what that entails is just kind of taking everything out of it, cleaning all the fake plants down, cleaning the tree, taking out all the substrate, recycling the water out, new mosses, and just wiping down the glass and making sure that there's nothing really on it. And there's lots of commercial products available for cleaning the enclosures. I actually prefer to just use vinegar and water, and then give that a good rinse out. It's what's safest for the geckos, and obviously not using chemicals around your geckos is good. So this enclosure is set up pretty well to hold the proper humidity and proper temperature that this guy needs in a day. So like I said, 50% humidity throughout the day with bursts up to 100 at the most, obviously. Twice a day is going to work good. And then room temperature, so if you're in Canada like I am, you're somewhere between 19 and 22, and in the States somewhere between 68 and 72, I believe. You start getting any warmer than about 74, so 25, and they'll start to get a little stressed out with that. They don't like it that warm. So lots of places for them to hide and cover if they do get a little warm or they do want to get out of the light. You'll find these guys he'll probably spend his day right there. So he's not overly covered, but he feels nice and safe in his tank. And I'm not going to pull him out and bother him right now. So he'll probably sit there for the entire day. Now, the only one more important thing that I wanted to touch on before I finish this up is just kind of a cool-off period for any reptiles. Gargoyles, obviously when you bring one home, everybody kind of wants to pull it out of the tank and play with it, and are all excited to have a new pet. Reptiles need about a 2-week cool-off period, just so that they can become accustomed to their surroundings, so that they can realize that they're not going to be predated on while they're in their enclosures. In the wild, these geckos are a prey item, just like crested geckos and leopard geckos and anything else. They do have predators that are trying to attack them. So the safer they feel, the more you're going to be able to handle them and build a relationship with them. And the best way to do that is to kind of leave them for about a 2-week period. Let them adjust, and then slowly start introducing yourself. It's a big mistake that a lot of people make with any reptile. So I think that just about covers everything that I wanted to cover. Hopefully it's been informative, and if I've forgotten anything or you have any questions about any of the Gecko's videos that I've done, feel free to comment. Thanks so much. Have a great day.